guys. Alright, so today I wanted to do my birth story for you guys. So let me start first by introducing you guys to our little girl. Ooh, those lights are bright, huh? Can you say hi? Hi. So this is Kensington. Oh, there she goes. Hi, everyone. You open your eyes now? Woo. Hi. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. Alright, so she was born December 22nd at 5:58 p.m. She was 6 pounds. Are you hungry? She was 6 pounds, 2 ounces, and 18 inches long. Alright, so unfortunately at our hospital we had to sign an agreement saying that we would not film or do pictures or anything like that during like the actual delivery, excuse me. So we could film like or do pictures for the whole labor process after the delivery, but we could not film like the delivery itself. So that was a little bit disappointing, but yet not really, because for me, like when I am doing my thing, when I am like trying to get the baby out, that is the only thing that I care about or I'm concerned about at the moment. I was explaining to Alan and like I think some of my family that the only thing that I focus on is the nurse right beside me and then the doctor and them telling me when I should or shouldn't push. That's it. Like I don't even notice that Alan's in the room or anybody else. I am just focused on one thing, and that is pushing. So I knew going in that I may not get, or that we may not film a lot, or we may not get like a ton of pictures or anything like that, like enough to make like a birth vlog. But I just said, you know, whatever we get is fine, whatever we don't. Like I didn't want the stress of having to think about it or deal with it. Like I'm just there to focus on having a baby. So unfortunately I will not have like a birth vlog, but I just figured I'll just tell you guys everything that happened so that you guys can know how it went. So we got to the hospital on the 22nd at 7 in the morning. I had to call and make sure that everything was still good and that there was no like emergency situations where they didn't have like a room for me or something. So called, they said go ahead and come in. We went in at 7 and it took them about an hour to get everything kind of like all the paperwork signed and for them to actually start me on Pitocin. So at this point I was 39 weeks and 4 days. Alright, so I have everything written down in my notes so that I would not forget. So they started me on Pitocin at about 8 a.m. and I started about a 1.5 centimeters inside. So before when I had like my last doctor's appointment, she told me that I was 3 centimeters on the outside and 1 inside. So pretty much I had progressed just a little bit in the past few days, like since my appointment. So 1.5 on the inside, and pretty much they give you the option whenever you are induced to either, whenever they start the Pitocin, to go ahead and start with the epidural if you want it, or you can wait and kind of like just go through it and feel the pains of labor without it. And so last time I opted to go ahead and not have the epidural right away because I wanted at least some of the experience of like feeling the contractions and everything like that. So this time I decided to do the same thing, waited to have the epidural until about 11 a.m. Yeah, about 11 a.m. And by that time I had actually progressed to about like 4 or 5 centimeters. And so I was definitely starting to feel it. And I just knew like that they were coming, you know, in a matter of 2 hours that I had progressed so far, and they were coming so strong. And I just knew like there's no way that I could wait like an hour more of this pain or of worse pain. And so I told her, you know, go ahead and get it ordered. Let's get the anesthesiologist, yada, yada, yada. So about an hour later, he came in, did the epidural. It was the same guy that I had last time, which we requested to have him again because he did such a good job last time. So that wasn't that big of a deal. It's a little bit scary every time you get it, I think. For me, I feel like I've mentioned in some other videos that I was a little bit more anxious this time to give birth, because now I know all the things that can happen. I know how it feels, as opposed to like last time with Kira. It was my first time. I had never done it before. I didn't really know what to expect, and I was, I think, in just such a state of shock. So this time it definitely was different. I knew like that epidural was coming. I knew that it was going to be uncomfortable and a little bit painful. So definitely kind of scary, but once you get the pain relief, it's totally worth it, and you realize like, yes, okay, you know, this feels so much better not to be like in pain every, you know, 2-3 minutes with a really strong contraction. All right, and then shortly after I got the epidural, they decided to go ahead and break my water just to try and progress things a little bit more quickly. Again, that's the same as last time. They had to break my water. It never actually broke on its own. Which I actually thought that this time it might. I thought that this time I might go into actual labor, because especially the days leading up to my induction, I was having really, really strong contractions, cramping, and I felt like, oh, you know, right before I go in or something, like my water's going to break and I'm going to be able to do it like naturally or whatever. And of course that didn't happen, obviously. They broke my water, and this time whenever they broke my water, it was actually clear. Last time with Kira, she had had her first poop, and so there was like some meconium in the water. But this time it was clear, so that was good. That meant that she definitely wasn't in any danger of like swallowing that or anything, so good there. And then I slowly kept progressing until about 3:30. They decided to go ahead and stop the Pitocin completely, because her heart rate, I gotta switch positions, baby, because her heart rate kept dropping. And there was a couple that were pretty drastic. They have like the heart rate monitor in there that you can hear, but you can also see on the screen. And for a baby that's heart rate that was staying around like 120s or something like that, to drop to like 50, that was really scary. And that happened a couple times. And last time that happened with Kira, and it kept happening, and they actually started prepping me for a C-section. So I was really nervous that this time they would have to do that again. But then I also kind of had the comfort of knowing that last time, once they took me off for a little while and gave the baby a break, and then started again, that everything went fine after that point. So I did have that as kind of like a little bit of reassurance that, you know, everything was going to be okay. It didn't necessarily have to mean C-section. All right, so so my nurse ended up calling the doctor, and she said that after 30 minutes of being off Pitocin with no significant drops in heart rate, that we could turn it back on and start again. So about 15 minutes or so after being taken off the Pitocin, I asked to get checked again, because I felt like I was progressing even farther, and I was at a 7 at about 3:45. So I was still progressing on my own even without the Pitocin. I think shortly after that, maybe about like 4 o'clock, they decided to turn the Pitocin back on, lower this time. Whenever they start back up, they can't start exactly where they were. So I think I was at like a level 10, and they started me back at level 4. So just a little bit of Pitocin to keep me progressing, keep things going. And then I had her check me again at 4:20, and I was already at an 8. So at this point, I was definitely like, oh my goodness, you know, I think it's going to be soon. I was progressing really fast on my own. It was almost like once the water broke, I was really able to just like my body kind of kick in and do what it was supposed to be doing. And then about 40 minutes later at 5 o'clock, she checked me again, and I was at a 9. 9:15, I was at a 9.5. So like, as you guys, I guess, can tell from me saying like she kept checking me, I kept having her check me, is I was really feeling, you feel like a sensation of not really pain from the contractions, but so much pressure, almost like you have to poop or something like that. That's what they tell you anyways, that it feels like, and it really does. It feels like you just know like that the head is like right there and that it's almost time for the baby. So I kept having her check me because I felt like I was getting close, and I was. So then again, another 15 minutes later at about 5:30, I had her check me again, and I was at a 10. And so they had everybody come in and start prepping stuff for me to push. So then I started pushing, and it was about, I can't remember if it was 4 push-ups or 6 push-ups. I think 4, but it is all kind of fuzzy, as it is during that time. But 4 to 6 pushes and she was out. So like I said, she was born at 5:58. The cord was wrapped around her neck, so the doctor, had to take that off really quick. But she was fine. It was a little bit scary and emotional for me because I saw them take her out and kind of hold her to where I could see her. And she was not crying. She wasn't doing anything except for just like looking up and like blinking her eyes. So she just kind of looked like this and like she was looking around. And that was a little scary for me because Kira, I think they started like clearing her throat and she just started crying immediately. So it was kind of weird, and like I just started crying and asking like, is she okay? So it was a little bit scary. But I would say overall I was just so much more emotional this time. I was afraid like that maybe something would go wrong, something would happen. So like seeing that she was okay, knowing that I was okay, was just like a huge relief. And I just like bawled and bawled and bawled. So like all of the pictures that we have, my eyes are just like filled with tears and just red. But I was just super happy. I was just happy that everything turned out okay. And that went pretty fast. It went faster than it did with Kira. Kira, we got there like the same time, 7 in the morning. They started at 8 and she was born like at 8 o'clock. So it did go faster. It was more smooth, a little bit scary with the dips in heart rate, but I even asked the nurse at one point if our doctor was saying anything about a potential C-section, and she said no. So it definitely went a lot smoother this time than last time. Not that last time was bad, just different. All right, and then of course, Dad cut the cord and they put her right on me for skin to skin while they're like taking care of everything, while the placenta's being delivered. And I did have to have an episiotomy, and she just cut me in the same place as last time, because the cord was wrapped around the neck. So she just knew like that she had to get her out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. They, of course, I don't know how it is at other hospitals, but for mine, they have like an hour skin to skin where they just want the baby on you and to try and start nursing within that hour. And she is just like her sister. She just did really good, knew what to do, and started nursing just like a champ. So that was really good. And then, of course, we had... during that time, I wanted to take a little bit of that hour of skin to skin for the girls to meet. So we brought just Kira in and they got to meet each other and she was so excited. She's just been like the best big sister. So that is pretty much it as far as my actual birth story goes. Like I said, pretty like quick, simple, pretty uneventful. But definitely emotional. So if you guys have not already, please subscribe if you want to see more videos like these. If you guys have any video requests or questions, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. Subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys!